Welcome back, everyone. Today, I'm talking with HeyLayer co-founders Alla and Marina about what exactly Web3 is and the importance of having a healthy mindset when getting started in this space. I hope you enjoy this beautiful conversation with two powerhouses. Let's dive in. Welcome, Alla and Marina, to Unraveling Crypto.
Hey, thank you so much for having us.
Hi, amazing to be here.
Yeah. So before we get started, I have a background in wellness coaching, and one of the things that I always love to do is kind of ground into our conversations and connect. Um, and I love to start with maybe sharing one word that's present for you right now that you're feeling, whether you want to let it go or it's something that you're bringing into today's conversation.
Marina, after you.
I know it's like how mind works. It's like you want to listen, but mind already looking for answers. And I think it's exciting to be here. So I feel like my word is like, okay, breathe, calmness. I know it's not just one. And I think union, I think that's been a big word for me because union of Web 2 and Web 3, male, masculine, mindfulness and business. So it's been like a personal journey for me of this union centered and remembering to breathe and connect and feel calm. Well, I was like, phone was ringing. I'm like, it's okay. You can just mute yourself. But yeah, that's a wonderful way to start. Yes, I think my word is union.
Beautiful.
An interesting thing, I was reading something the other day, and I'm not going to get too much into it for the sake of time, but, the synopsis is a lot of times we want things, right? I want love, I want abundance, I want peace, I want, it's all these things we want, right? And then when things don't happen, we're stressed out about it. Why don't I have all these things? So it was just very simple sort of meditation that I start my day with is, I am, right? Because whatever you want starts with you. So every morning I've made it a point where, I am I am peace, I am love, I am abundance. And just this simple mind shift is has been like just a miracle because you're starting the day with things that you're already grateful and that you already can be appreciative of things that you have. So, and through the day, I kind of just remind myself when I get stressed out about things before starting interviews and podcasts and, being in front of audience talking about the company. I just, take that moment and I am peace. So the word for to start off is, peace. So, yeah, sometimes we have to just simple things that remind us, to
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be that complicated, right?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, I'll share my word. I'll say acceptance. I think,
Mm.
yeah, I just felt like this is what just accepting the moment and what it is and going with it. All right. So I would love for you to just share a little bit about what you do and then we can go from there so the audience and the community knows a little bit more. If you want, Ala, I want to start.
Sure. Um, so my name is Alla Koretsky. I am the CEO and one of the co-founders for HeyLayer. And we essentially help people, companies, creatives step into Web3 with the least amount of resistance. So we help you, we hold your hand, we advise you, we help you with the technology aspect, kind of, we become your guides in you coming into this new sort of Web3 era. And, it's about educating, it's about empowering, and, really providing a platform for the new creative to, monetize and bring, bring more money, more, bring more relationships. So we help you through the process of, you creating and building your Web3 businesses. We started with sort of creating NFT platform and you creating NFTs in a really simple way with like a drag and drop capabilities. There's gasless minting for anyone that's new here. Basically, you need to pay money in order for you to have this blockchain transaction. So we've eliminated that to make sure that we bring in new people in the ecosystem. That's generally, it's very expensive to mint NFTs and other blockchains. So we've taken out that sort of barrier of entry by gasless minting. We also allow collectors to come into the space and purchase NFTs with credit cards. So also sort of breaking down the barriers, and we understand how complicated the technology is at the moment. So we've talked to a ton of people on both ends and really understanding the pain points on both sides. And so we build HeyLayer through this sort of this platform that allows people to start interacting in this Web3 environment through different even activations that I can get into a little bit after that. But yeah, that's a little bit about sort of what the platform is. A little bit about myself. So I am a mom. I have 3 boys. Recently relocated from New York to Florida. We'll be in New York in a few weeks, so I still kind of, it's our second home for sure. Um, my background is I come from a fashion background. I was a buyer for over 15 years, working in different sort of fashion and consumer product and subscription box verticals, really sort of bridging the gap between marketing and product development and branding, and really, discovered blockchain and fell in love with what the technology can do for supply chain transparency. That's kind of how I dove into the space, and I've been just learning a ton ever since. The day is never the same. The week is really a month, and it's been really incredible to meet amazing people along the way, both on creative side and technology side, and really kind of see how this world has been changing, immensely, even just over the past 2 years that we've been into the space. So it's been really interesting to see how it's been evolving.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Before I ask more questions, because I want Marina. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, yeah, thank you. I know there's so many questions. I'll like open the whole box. It can be like we can just talk about that. And I'm also Marina. I'm Marina Romashko, and I'm one of the co-founders as well. And I'm CEO of more of an operation, project management focus. Before coming to HeyLayer, and I'm still doing that productivity and mindfulness coaching, not as much as I used to, because right now I'm a full-time co-founder, but still hoping to bring that aspect of mindfulness. And I think, how Alla said, how she starts her day. I think all of us co-founders, we very like in this kind of mindful angle, and we kind of understand like what is our energy every day, who we are as a people. This is what we bring to the company, and this is how we lead. And I think, as Alla said, we've built a HeyLayer marketplace, and I think it was really this point of us being this wholesome people. I think we kind of, especially like Alla and I, we were very new to Web3, and I think Gary's been there already for a while, and he inspired us. We both knew each other. Gary and I knew each other before. He used to be my coaching clients. Alla and Gary are cousins. So I think there was a lot of like a human connections and values connections, like who we are in the world, what do we want to build. But I think for Alla and I, we kind of felt we got in some ways lucky. I don't know. We had an opportunity of someone to explain to us, like take some, like Gary took time. He explained it to us. He still does, and he's still answering all of our questions with compassion and patience. There's no dumb question. So it's like we got lucky. Somebody brought us to the Web3, and I think Alla and I, the first things that we saw, that it's not really human friendly. It just happened to be it's built with a lot of amazing smart people who are very techie, very nerdy, very specific knowledge. And there's a very huge kind of gap of entrance. Like, how do you to enter Web3? It takes tremendous amount of time, and you have to have like time, and you have to have like be able to grasp it. So, and I think that's what I think almost it became our personal professional mission with Alla. Like, okay, we got to bring more people who's not into Web3 because there's so much potential here. There's so many opportunities. And I think it's also like I felt like, okay, we're building a new world and we again building without women. Again, it's nobody's fault. There's nobody like to blame, but I feel like no matter, and we'll talk about this more, and no matter how hard it was for me and Alla at first, because it is overwhelming. It is pretty much, I think, you go to the room, it's always like mainly male, even if they're very welcoming, and we'll talk probably about stacks community, how much they like support women, how much we welcome, but still it's a majority is men, right? Nobody's fault. It is not easy place to enter on many different levels. And we wanted to create a platform, we wanted to create a business and environment where everyone is welcome and you don't have to know a lot about Web3. You can actually know a little. You just have to be, you have to just want it to come and like, oh, I want to mint, or I want to buy, or I have a brand and I want to do marketing for it. So yeah, it's a I think it's a very philosophical long story about me, but it all comes down that it's like I think our mission vision is like how do we bridge Web 2 and Web 3 in a very simple way, which is not easy things to do. We're still working on it, but that's kind of our vision that it can be. We do like I always love this parallel. Nobody knows how iPhone works in the back, but everybody can use it just by doing 2 3 different
Right.
steps all over the world. And there's a hope that we can create the platform where people can come and it can be as seamless as an iPhone to use it and use all of these great potentials that Web3 has to offer.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, thank you for sharing a little bit about you and HeyLayer, and that's exactly what inspired me to create Unraveling Crypto, which is building a bridge for more inclusivity and diversity to come into Web3. But before we get into any of the nitty gritty, I'd love for you to explain what Web3 really is. So a lot of my community don't even know what Web3 is, or yeah, they just probably haven't even heard it. So if you can share with me what that in the community, what that is.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that. I think a Web3 has sort of become this like catch-all term for this new vision of like a better internet. Essentially, a Web3 at its core, it uses blockchain, cryptocurrency, and NFTs to essentially give power back to the users in this like new form of ownership, right? So I think it's not like, so Web 1 was sort of lasted until the early, through the 90s and into the early 2000s, where it was, read only. So information was just imported into the internet and basically, going back to the communities, it was really sort of this word of mouth, internet where you were, you know, um, basically just putting information out there, and it was this really static internet, right? Web 2 led into sort of the explosion of social media, and you had the Facebooks and sort of the Instagrams and the Twitters of the world that really controlled a lot of the information. Information was just read write at that point. Um, and now we're entering into this new phase. I think some people have called it semantic web, where really blockchain, this technology, allows us to now interact in a way where it's read, write, and own. We can own the information that is put in the internet because there's no central authority that controls this information. Hence, like decentralization is sort of a big word that's synonymous with Web3. And if we're talking about decentralization, it's really sort of the process of redistributing power, the way, power, people or things that are like not centrally located or by central authority, right? So that's why again, blockchain is a very sort of important word for that, because it's essentially the underlying technology that makes it all possible.
Yeah, thank you. And I love the way that you explained it, and like explaining Web 1 and really what it was, and Web 2 where we're at in some ways, and Web 3 kind of where we're currently going and building. I guess my question would be, what was the most challenging aspects of entering into Web3 space and building in here as somebody that didn't know much about the technology?
Marina, you want to take it, or
Yeah,
you
I
want me
can.
to?
We both can probably talk about it. I think entering is one thing, but I think staying. I think it's so fast growing industry. Specifically, we are an NFT. I'm not saying that other aspects not growing fast, but I think we all know, as we Alla mentioned, like week, or I think Vanessa, some of us, some of you said week feels like a month feels like a year. And I think it's more about how do you stay grounded and don't lose it. Don't lose your almost like everyday well-being in this. I mean, one thing is like you personally, but then you lead the business, right? You have to build a business, you have a team, you have to make decisions, and you have to make a lot of diversity decisions. So I think I think a lot of people can enter. It's more about how do you understand that it's a long-term game, and how do you create this like short-term strategy, almost like, okay, this is what we do this week, and we make projections for a month, but then we're going to be agile, and because we might have to adjust and change everything quite fast, and not to be personally attached. I almost feel like mindfulness and Buddhism is like saving us, because we're not attached. We're like very passionate. We're very passionate, because if you're not passionate, how are you going to build this, right? But you cannot be attached, because market might dictate completely different things. You do have your vision, but how do you get there is a different thing. So I'm so maybe I'll have a different, maybe she'll have something else, but I feel like it's what's more important. You can enter it at any moment, but I think it's more important is to have your own personal strategy. How do you gonna handle this fast pace growing in a very healthy way? And if you don't have some sort of boundaries, like even about Twitter, or how do you work, how do you take care of yourself, you pretty much won't survive there for a long time, because crazy things happen pretty much every day. I mean, at least every week, that you kind of like, oh my God, I can't imagine this is even possible. I feel like I'm in a new universe. And and so this is just more it's like you can enter it, but how do you stay there without losing your mind? This is a bigger question.
Yeah, I mean, we're entering into this new era, right? I mean, this is going to be sort of in the books, right? The COVID pandemic sort of really propelled us into where we are right now. It really accelerated the movement in terms of technology and pushing sort of the um, global community into this new digital forefront, right? So, commerce, went up, 500 something percent during the time of COVID, because even the people that were not shopping online were forced into shopping online. So really forced us into this whole digital forefront, and sort of it really accelerated the crypto movement, that really accelerated sort of the NFT movement. And we had this creative revolution that really sort of burst, through the COVID pandemics. And so I do this presentation, ABCs for NFTs, and other panel talks. And I kind of walk through the journey of how we got to where we are, right? And how really the COVID pandemic really accelerated the whole process of everyone sitting home and figuring out how they can be creative. So, it kind of, we're really at the forefront of creating something new. And so as we're building something, especially being building something on Stacks blockchain, really being sort of at the forefront of building something on sort of the beginnings of where we envision this ecosystem growing into, right? it comes with a lot of benefits being the first, but it also comes with a lot of responsibility. And because we have taken upon ourselves to really say we're bringing in non-crypto people in with us on this journey, we really have to be responsible enough to say that, okay, what we're building needs to be at the best quality with user experience and sort of the technology behind it, and how do we really introduce them into this experience, making sure that they're not going to be ripped off, that they're properly storing their secret keys to how are they setting up their wallet. So like we make it a point of every 2 weeks we have these free sessions, NFT 101s, where we invite creators, collectors, anyone who's interested, to come in and just start learning, right? Because there's so much information that's out there. You can go on YouTube, you can go on Twitter and fall down the rabbit hole and come out on the other end, feel so
Oh,
stressed
wow.
out and so overwhelmed about all this information. You really need someone to help you on this journey, right? So it's tough to be the leader in the space, but also it's very empowering to know that we can help people into this to because we believe that Web3 is the future. We believe that this is where things are heading. If you're not participating, then you'll be just being left behind, right? And back to Marina's thing, being grounded is super important because it is stressful. It is the time sort of warps itself in much faster speed than in typical space. So, coming back and being centered and really knowing sort of what is your mission vision, really, it's something that we always check back in as
Yeah.
founders and people on the team. So, it's really important to kind of make sure you have that balance. On weekends, like my Saturday is my disconnect day. Like I try not to pick up my
Yeah.
phone. On Saturdays
Yeah.
I just enjoy the time with family. So I think that's important.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I just you wanted to say something, Marina?
I do want to add something because I know you have a great question and somehow we like answered. I know that we answered what need to be heard, right? I do trust in that. I want to say something for us, like the entrance. I don't want to say it was easy. At the same time, we were very lucky because I think we entered already like as a team, right? It was three of us, and Ali and I, we had like time to learn. We had support, and then I always felt supported, right? And then we entered in the Stocks Accelerator. We got even more support. Yes, it was overwhelming and everything, but we had so many mentors and so many amazing teachers, and everybody was so supportive. So I feel maybe when people get like overwhelmed at first and they're by themselves, it's a hard thing. I think we had each other like as a co-founders. I think that's like I felt always very supported and like very like, okay, you grow at your own pace, you know what you know, it's all good. So it was very powerful for me. And then entering Stacks Accelerator, it was another thing. Yes, they pushed us. Yes, it was hard, but in the long run, we were supported.
Yeah.
And so when we went out into the world, right, I felt, even if I didn't know much and I did feel overwhelmed, right, I still felt like, okay, I have some confidence in me based on us as a team, us being part of Stacks community. So it's not like, it's not like, let's say one of you women uh, listeners, she's like, oh, I want to go into Web3. It's, man, it's scary. Like, oh, I'm going to go to OpenSea and start minting. This is like, you have to take a lot of, you have to do a lot of like researching and things. So it feels like that's why for us, we kind of got lucky, privileged. I don't know what it is. So we deserved we worked hard to get here, obviously, but still it that just I felt like it was important to share that story, why it was not so hard for us to end it. And even if we felt it was hard, we were very I always feel support.
Yeah. And I mean, I got two things a lot from what you were sharing. And one of them reminded me of how my community, like the wellness community, there's this unsaid kind of not hate, but we don't really like technology. There's like, we rather leave technology and move out to the middle of nowhere and live life. And then here comes crypto and Web3, and it's changed my perspective completely, where I'm like, wait, no, it's not about that, because I want to build, I want to innovate, and I also want to be a part of the way that we are shaping this technology, because the technology is not bad, or the technology just is, and it's up to us to really shape it, and how we're going to use it and how are we going to consume it. So my question is like, why is this so important for anyone, but especially women, to learn and educate themselves on these topics?
I mean, if we don't educate ourselves, we're not a part of it. And if we're not a part of it, how can we ever complain, 50 years from now to say that we had no voice in this, right? I mean, it's we have to take the stand now. We have to educate ourselves now. We have to take our friend and say, hey, I just minted this first NFT. You're an amazing artist. You should know how to do that because it's in the interest and then, for you to do that, right? If we don't educate our other friends, if we don't put in the time, we're just left behind, right? And then like we can't complain about the world
Yeah.
not being the way we want it to be, right? I mean, for my kids having three boys, they see me hustle, they see me work, they see me every single day, like trying something new, and that's one of the things that like knowledge is power. If you are not educated, right, you don't have a voice, right? And if you don't have a voice, how can you really participate in the world, right, as a human being if you're not being heard, right? Um, Sorry, I
I
just
will
got
ask you for a
disconnected for a
second.
Yeah,
second.
Yeah,
you're back.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
back.
So that's my input. I mean, and I have friends coming out of, my middle school friends are calling me like, oh, we're seeing you're doing something in the space and we're kind of curious. And I'm like, I love it that you reach out to me and that you made, the effort. And now, I spend time with people all over, just guiding them. And the community is so engaging right now. They're so loving. They're so like just willing to help out. I can literally go on any Twitter profile of any woman and message her and say, hey, I need help with this, or hey, do you want to collaborate on this, or I have a question about this, and I will 99% of the time get a message back. Coming from the fashion side of the world, sort of in the traditional space, this was not the case. Like this was a very catty, like kind of environment, very toxic. One of the reasons why I got out of fashion and went more into the tech side was because of that. So it's really interesting to see how we're just, I think, one woman at a time. We should be uplifting each other. We should be helping. Um,
Yeah,
you know, and education is key, and technology is a backbone of all that. You don't need to know the nitty gritty how things work. I don't, know how
yeah.
the nitty gritty of how blockchain works, but I understand the concept. I understand what can be done with it, right? And then, it's sort of the imagination is key. You can then bring in your own insight and where you're coming from. So if you're coming from sort of this health and wellness side, how can you then take some of these benefits? How can you take some of these sort of underlying, sort of DNA of what you're doing, and how do you infuse it in technology that will just accelerate that mission and vision for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, Marina, if
Yeah,
you
it's
want to.
power. Marina,
Yeah.
well, I wanted to ask you kind of like on the flip side, which is somewhat similar, but it's, what are women losing, or in general anyone, or what's the cost of not entering at this time into Web3? Or even, it's not even about building, but like engaging and being a part of it.
Well, even, it's a great question. I do come from very deep spiritual practice and community, and I actually have this question about, and I'll answer your question as well, about, I know when you meditate a lot and you do a lot of healing and everything, you become a little bit ungrounded and you want to be out of technology. At the same time, so it's everyone have to find a middle path, what they say in Buddhism or middle pillar, as they say in Kabbalah. You have to find a middle path where you bring two opposites together, technology and mindfulness. Because I think what we're losing, I think what technology is losing right now is mindfulness, you know? And so we have all of this beautiful, I think it's almost, we have a lot of beautiful philosophies. We have a lot of beautiful practices that world is dying to have. Like technology, Web3, I mean, people need that now more than ever. And it is like and so what we're losing is it's actually a platform to help more people, right? That's what we're losing. Like we're saying, the sustaining spirituality, what happened to us. First, we take care of ourselves, and it's wonderful. And the next level, it's a service. You become in service of, okay, you become in service of light or wherever it is. And this is an opportunity to be in service.
I love that.
This is what we lose. We lose opportunity to bring more light. And that's what Web3 need right now. And there's so many people who just sit for 24/7 in front of computers and technology. And honestly, I feel their pain. I feel like they find community, I understand, but there's so much loneliness. There's so much, there's this kind of disconnection
Yeah.
with mind, body, spirit, soul, wherever you want to connect to. So I think what we lose by not participating is bringing our talents and creating a new world, and it's really hard. I don't know. It's not easy,
Yeah.
but spirituality didn't mean to be. It's not about being easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's about doing the right things, right?
So we
So,
have a few minutes left from this
yeah.
conversation, but I think I want the community to take away one tangible or practical step for them to enter Web3. What would that be for you? Where can they start?
Start with going to HeyLayer.com. That's our platform. Start following us on at HeyLayer on Twitter, Instagram. Come into our NFT 101 sessions that we have every 2 weeks, and spend the time making one art, right? Like one NFT, mint your first, right? Just sometimes you have to. I think we always talk about this, that women take a lot of time planning, strategizing, figuring out how do we do this? What's a perfect way for me to launch? Like, what's the market? Sometimes you just have to dive in and just try it.
Yeah.
I am a best learner by doing, right? I can watch all these things, but until I actually do it for the first time, then I have this aha moment. I'm like, okay, now I get it, right? And now I can. So, number one thing is educate yourself, but at some point, just dive in, mint, buy your
Oh,
first
bye.
NFT. You can, once we walk you through the process of essentially you can buy with a credit card. You don't even need to set up your digital wallet. Buy with a credit card. You get an email that says claim your NFT. And we walk you through a very easy process on how to claim your NFT, meaning setting up your digital wallet. Everyone does need a digital wallet in order to claim, transfer an NFT, but there's a way of doing it, not just like figuring out how do I do this, how do I transfer cryptocurrency. The process is still very clunky. No, we are at that dial-up internet stage, right? So we're still very early. Things will get easier. So the earlier you start experimenting, the earlier you start trying it out, start supporting artists. Look at it as, start supporting artists and other women or other projects that you are interested in. Know the market is volatile, especially the way things are right now in crypto space. So don't look at it as like, how do I, make money, because you probably will lose money right now. This is not about buying, selling, right? This, I think, are just different conversations. There are different type of investments. But I would say just start supporting other projects that you're interested in, that you would just love to have this piece of art in your arm, or would love to support another music artist, or you would like to go to a concert and really hold the sort of the visual representation of that in your wallet. So start experimenting with different mediums, but just, don't be afraid. It's not, no, everyone is learning, everyone is new, no one's looking down on you. You don't need to feel intimidated. Yeah, just, I give you that empowerment,
Yeah.
and hopefully we can, if you have any questions, be, please feel free to reach out. We're all on Twitter, on
Twitter.
Instagram. Yeah.
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 And I actually wanna ask Marina, like, what's an insight that you can give that people can enter feeling confident and empowered?
It's okay to know only 5% and enter the space.
Mm,
That's it.
yeah.
Just know 5%. And
Yeah.
adding to Alla, just spend 1 hour a week, wherever it is. Reading HeyLayer, following, just do 1 hour per week and start with that. But I think the inside, nobody knows anything here 100%. Even people who spend 24/7, they probably know only 50% because it's growing so fast. So if you know 5%, and just try it. There's no failure really. Just have fun with that. I think it's about experimenting.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to be a professional. You don't have to do right away something
Yeah, just start.
big. Start small and remember that's okay to know just
And
5%.
yeah, and find your community. Community
Yeah,
in Web3 is really important. So find a community of like-minded individuals, and maybe there's a Web3 community that's, into health and wellness. I'm sure there is. There's communities in everything. So find your community, and then you will find your support, your cheering, you'll find the people that will guide you and help you through the process.
Okay, so before we go, I want to do a lightning round. So I'm going to ask you just a series of questions. And if you want, Ala, you'll go first. And then Marina, you can answer immediately after.
Okay.
So it's just answer as quickly and as short as possible. Yeah? Yeah. First question. What's your favorite book?
What's your favorite book? Is that what you
Yes.
said? Okay. What am I reading right now? Creating with Purpose is what I'm reading right now. I don't know. That's my favorite, but it's my favorite at the moment.
Marina?
the overstory.
Which one?
The overstory is the overstory. It's about
Okay.
trees.
And one
It's
piece of
fiction.
advice that you want to share with the world right now.
Stay grounded. Uh, find your escape on how to reconnect with yourself on a daily basis. Because no matter
Yeah,
what's happening on the outside, I think you still have to
yeah, yeah.
bring it in, and reconnect with yourself.
And be kind. Adding to Allah, I think we need to be kind to ourselves.
Okay, your go to drink?
Red wine.
Matcha.
Oh,
I think my saying is like I'm trying to drink less, so let's call it matcha
What do you value most
with
right
oat
now?
milk.
Oh, I love matcha with oat milk too. But what do you value most right now?
my sanity. uh, uh, what do I value most? I mean, it's family. It's always, it's my family. That's what keeps
Yeah,
me grounded. That's what, that's my North Star. Yeah.
yeah. Mine is my spiritual practice.
And last question, what do you love about yourself most?
What do I love about myself most? Uh, my ability to adapt. I tend to, I go with the flow. I don't let things disrupt me too much. I know sort of where I need to be and how I need to get there. And I just, there's this famous meditation with, a famous speech by Bruce Lee, like be like water, right? And so I kind of come back to it sometimes and remind myself that you do have to be like water. That water really tends to take shape wherever it's in. You put it in the glass, it becomes a glass. You put it in the bottle, it becomes a bottle type of thing, right? So that's probably how I've gotten to where I am in life. I just adapt. I am very agile. I don't let things stress to me if things don't go my way, because ultimately I know, where I need to be.
Yeah, yeah. It's a Buddhist with no tip training. She was born
Yes,
as a
yes,
Buddhist.
yes.
I think I yell sometimes at people with purpose. It's uncomfortable, but I can like for change. I get very angry and like I don't think I yell, but I have this I'm a manifester by this is my type for so I kind of manifest things, and sometimes it's like I can move energy and I can say hard things, and it's uncomfortable. And it took me a while to love this. I don't do this often, but it's very powerful and it makes a lot of difference in the world. And I'm learning how to be like a water. It's hard for me.
Thank you. Thank you both for taking the time and being here and sharing. I really appreciate you. I will post all the links in your accounts and about HeyLayer inside of the show notes. But again, just thank you. And I feel really honored to have two powerful women here on the show.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you
so
for
much,
having us.
Vanessa. It was
Wonderful
fun. I feel
conversation.
like this was the most enlightening Web3 conversation I
I
ever
know,
had.
and Ale has a lot of them.
We'll have plenty more for sure. But thank you again. I hope you have a lovely day.